Neil Jackson and John Rover platted the town of Lincoln in Creek Nation Indian Territory. The next year, in 1904, they changed the town to Clearview, because they first had it named as Lincoln, but there were other towns in Oklahoma named Lincoln, they said you couldn't be Lincoln. So if you come in and you look at a map, when it's platted, where the lots are, it would have lot 6, block 26, Lincoln City, but it's still Clearview. I live on block 27, lots 1 through 28, on Clearview. And then you have behind the cemetery, if you have land over there, that's greater Clearview, but we're still all Clearview. So they had to change the name, and the story goes that the two men that went up there, they decided, well, we gotta think of another name besides Lincoln. Well, they went up on the hill and we sit in the valley, and they looked out over, and back then people used wood to burn, so there was no trees. People cut them down, and they looked out and said, oh, what a clear view. So that's how it became. Clearview. And most people say Clearview. So, I'm from Clearview, not Clearview, I love Clearview. That's the accent. They said, well, they know you were born and raised in Clearview if you say Clearview. So that's how we got to be Clearview. And then from 1910 to 1911, Clearview's development had its greatest boost. They incorporated the town and established precincts and wards and elected a mayor. Jesse Thompson was the mayor. He came over. And that started his beginning. In 1914, Jesse Thompson, and this is him, he was a big, tall, strong guy. And his son was the principal when I went to school over here in Cleveland. He walked with a cat, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, oh, Bella, what are you doing? And you're quiet. So that's him right there. And he boasted that he was a National Negro League's business meeting in Muskogee, where he boasted that he owned 5,500 acres, and the 899 was his personal use, and he leased the rest of them to people that worked as sharecroppers. And they would, you know, make payments to own the lots. So if you look and you want to buy a lot, it'll go back to Jesse Thompson if you bring up the abstract. And then on Saturday, August 22nd, the city was honored with the presence of Dr. Washington. Booker T. Washington came through, because Clearview was founded, if you look, with the Fourth Smith and Wesson came through what we call the track. You didn't come down the track, you turned, you went straight, but if you go around, we called it the track. That was the railroad track. And when the train stopped, that killed a lot of towns along the way. And they turned it into a road. So when I was growing up, it was across the track. I wasn't here when the railroads was here, and then we just got it paved 2 years ago. It was always dirt. So we had to fight, but we got it done, because it's the main thoroughfare from I-40 to the Indian Nation Turnpike or to Belize. And then trucks come down through that way. So, they came through, and then Mrs. Neva Thompson, that was his wife. She was you can see a picture out there where they lived. He built a brick plant, and he built a 2-story house with the brick plant, and she would have teas and things like that, and she was the principal of the school, and she taught the young ladies how to be young ladies. So, the house, another personal story, my cousin lived in that house, and back in the day, he didn't have anything to do but go visit, so we would go visit, and was scared of that house, afraid of it, because it was so dark and spooky like. And I could swear I saw a lady standing up in a white dress with a hat on that was always looking at me, and then they found a picture of her. And I think that was her, you know, you believe in that, but I don't, but I just think she was still around, and I think she's still here, and his spirit is still here because we're still bright. Okay, and then, so I'm skipping through this. They had, someone asked about the A. Lincoln building up there. That was where he sold his lots and leases from. He built that from a rock quarry that we had. And then another building on down the way that's just a frame. That's one of the original buildings that was still here. Most of them have either fallen in are burned to the ground. We have one original church that's still standing, and they still have members. They have 3 members that still have church. They still have church, so. But I think there's 3 official members, and they have 2 that go. We're trying to get it and get a grant to get it fixed up, but we're still hanging on. And, let's see, what else can I tell you about? Then, E.P. McCabe, it was that he started this town. His dream was to make Oklahoma a black state. So that's one of the reasons we have all the black towns. I think we boast as Oklahoma having the most all-black towns in the nation. So that's a thing, and that's a good thing because we've been able to get more grants and things like that. Like, for instance, this OA Hall of Fame, Oklahoma African American Educators Hall of Fame, my brother-in-law and my sister started this because they went somewhere and they had other Hall of Fame with teachers, and they said, well, there's not one for black teachers. So from Oklahoma, so it was their dream to start, and we started 12 years ago with nothing. This little part was over in this building, but since I've been here, we've redone this side. And then this has completed with nothing but donations. No grants, no loans that we had to pay out. It's all from donations. People donated lifetime membership or just came down. We had one, my favorite teacher that I had in Toledo. He was a white teacher, and he was before his time. He took care of the black kids. And he's my favorite one. And he said, what do you need, Marilyn? I got it. I got you. So he started a foundation with this because he's a multimillionaire. And he just saves money back, and then when it grows, he gives it to us. So and then my brother-in-law, one of his students, came down. He said, when we had the grand opening, he said, well, what do you owe on it? He said, well, I think we owe like $5,000 on getting everything we want. He was very much. So we're doing good here, and if you ever want to, I'll give you some information on the Hall of Fame. We have a ceremony every year where we end up 10 teachers from the state of Oklahoma. And if you have a black teacher that inspired you, teacher, bus driver, custodian, teacher's aide, anybody that was in education that inspired you, turn it in. And they have a good chance of being honored. My daughter turned me in. I have to throw that in there because she said, I'll never be a teacher. I'll feel my kids work in the school system. Because they were with me all the time, and when she did that, I made it, and then my brother and sister-in-law was on there, and then my favorite, one of my other favorite teachers was the first one. So this is, and we have all kinds of events here. This is our income because we don't have a revenue here. We don't have businesses. We go off of taxes, which is very little. We rent this out for events. We've had school reunions, funerals. We have family reunions all the time here. And over at the gym, that's another revenue that we have. We started, remodeled it, and I'm happy about that because we have handicapped bathrooms at the gym. My little cousin was looking at the picture. She said, "Is that on that picture?" And I said, "That's the bathroom." She said, "It's made out of wood." I said, "That's where we went." One was on one side, one on the other side. She said, "No, you didn't." I said, "Oh, yes, we did." I remember when they had an indoor bathroom at the school. So I said, the kids nowadays, they couldn't make it back. Anyway, so I went off on my tangent again. Let me get back to the picture. That's what you want to hear.
No, keep talking about the kids.
Okay, but our town started to decline when we lost the railroad. That took away a lot of our business. We had some of the best ear corn. We won the prize for the best ear corn, and Langston got some of the seeds that they still use. We had a brick plant, we had a cotton plant, we had a theater, we had a movie theater, we had a little hospital life, we had a funeral home. What else did we have? Well, we had all kinds of things that I didn't know until we got a grant called the Civil Rights Trail. And we got all the history signs. You can see that big sign out there. Well, all over town we have markers. It's where you can go through and it tells you of all the places where we had a candy factory, we had all that in Clearview. And when the railroad went down, people lost their jobs, it wasn't very, so they moved. And then when they took away our school, when we integrated, that just killed us. That was a hard time back then, going from an all-black school to a mixed school. And being, my sister said the way I am in my bunch, we had the biggest graduating class of 13. So we had to go down and wanted us to take a back seat, didn't work at all. We got into some trouble, but we still stood our ground. My teacher was, whoever taught us things, and he said, you go down there, you're just as smart as this good, don't let them push you back. Oh, and this is one of our,
This is a man looking for a wife. What she look like. Need a wife.
this is one of our, this is my favorite cousin. He's from French's, he's one of the Frenches. So he's one of the boys. The girls, they run the thing, but this one does. His name is Teeny Earl French. We have nicknames, and he has a twin named Bug. Earl French. So Teeny is one of our newest trustees, and like you say, he's always looking for a wife. I don't know why.
You don't know why.
You can see he's been working. He's one of our hard workers. Anything you ask him, Teeny, you get. I can call and say, hey, cuz, what you need? Last night we needed a lock fixed. He got up, came down and fixed the lock.
And oh, you got your phone? No. Well, I was doing some work and I remember we gonna be here today, and so I come to see if anybody needed a husband.
Okay, all right.
Uh-oh, they won. Oh yeah, I'm like an ant. I'm coming to see. An ant. I come to see. You got to see. But you're holding up your hand.
I was clapping.
Oh. Oh.
That was 104.
104.